All right, good afternoon. It's 5:30 on the Thursday, the 11th of October. From the National Weather Service in Raleigh, it's Nick Petro with a quick afternoon update regarding Tropical Storm Michael and the gusty winds and heavy rain moving across the area at this time. This is I don't have any slides, updated slides for this. I'm just going to show some live data here. And the main thing I want to get across here is let me remove these severe thunderstorm warnings. And in case you're wondering why, and the severe thunderstorm warnings are these yellow boxes here, if you're wondering why we decided to go ahead and issue severe thunderstorm warnings, it was really to raise awareness. You know, where we heard reports of just widespread tree down, damage to structures, flooded roads, and a whole mess out to the west. So this is one method that we use to raise awareness of the severity of the situation. So anyway, that's the thinking there. The flash flood warnings are indicated there in the green boxes. So clearly, you know, almost everybody listening here probably has heard of some reports of flash flooding somewhere in their area. And that's the case, just pockets of, as we've been saying, the typical places that always flood would flood with this event, and indeed they have. And there still is potential until this last band gets out of here. There's still potential for additional flash flooding. So that's the flash flood warnings. All right. So the other thing I want to point out here, let me just minimize this right quick for a moment. And I wanted to show. Let me see if I can find the right image here. Okay, this is the one I wanted to show. So what I'm showing here is the max wind gust in the past basically 12 hours. And some of these are pretty recent, like, for example, the 53 and 49 mile per hour peak wind gusts at Fayetteville and Fort Bragg. That just happened within the last hour. So did this 54 mile per hour gust at RDU. That just happened within the last hour. These mid 50 mile per hour wind gusts have happened several hours ago, as is these 50 and 49 mile per hour wind gusts as you head west toward Charlotte. So the point is this band has indeed produced, as we talked about early this morning at 9:30. We sent out a briefing at 9:30 raising awareness that that this band on the backside could bring some really strong winds, and indeed that has come to pass. So the center of the circulation, in case you're wondering, is right in here. Basically, this is the center of roughly where the center of Tropical Storm Michael is still at. So it's moving across the Triangle region right now, and it's almost taking on like a cold frontal type situation. There's a front that extends down here and extends up in here, and that's essentially its transition to a non-tropical system. This is acting very much like a cold front, where you have cooler, drier air rushing in on the backside from the northwest, and that's exactly what's happening. The stronger winds aloft are mixing down with this scenario right here. All right, the models picked up on this really well, done a great job, and certainly, you know, this is what we've been conveying all day to you. So the point is that as this band, as you can see, it still has a ways to go before it finishes crossing central North Carolina. This area ahead of it could produce its own flash flooding issues. This area up here along the northern I-95 corridor, this is not particularly associated with that cold frontal passage, if you will, or the backside of Michael. Rather, that's just the rain that's coming ahead of time. And bear with me here while the radar reloads. But the point is let me switch screens here and show you what we expect in terms of forecasting where this band is going to go as the rest of the day progresses, or rest of the evening. And you can see this is, let's see, it's 5:35 now. So according to the model, that would be right about here. So follow, if you would, follow this band right here, because that's the band that's causing all the problems. Obviously, this band, you know, across the northern I-95 corridor can cause its own flash flooding problems, so we don't want to disregard that. But the point is this band back here behind the center of the low, we're going to keep our eyes on that as we watch as we follow this progression. And notice that's 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. So it's going to take a while before it clearly moves all the way across eastern North Carolina. So folks in the Triad, you're going to be improving conditions here pretty quickly. But this is 8 p.m. this evening, where we still see a potential for some of these this gusty band still continuing from Raleigh down to Fayetteville, and then that's 8 p.m., that's 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 a.m. By 1 a.m., it's pretty much gone. It's gone. So certainly by tomorrow we'll have sunshine. It'll be beautiful weather, cooler, drier, good weather for cleaning up all the mess and the down trees that are everywhere. So again, I'll just run this through one more time, this reflectivity simulation. This should give you a sense of the timing. That's 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight. All right, so that by midnight it's gone from all of central North Carolina. All right, what about the wind? This is a simulation for the wind to kind of give you a sense. And again, disregard the values here on the side and just focus more on the color and the qualitative aspect of it. So you can see that's 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. So the point here is until that band moves through, you're going to have a risk. If that band has not moved through, or if it's still over you, you're going to have the risk of seeing these wind gusts of 30 to 40, maybe gusts to 50 miles an hour. So particularly areas from the Triangle south and eastward, you still have 7 more hours to go before we can completely call you in the clear. All right. Just notice here, even though this is outside of central North Carolina, I'll point your attention here to the Pamlico Sound. When these winds get over the Pamlico Sound, that's going to push a lot of water up along the Sound side outer banks. So there is expectations for some surge here along the Sound side of the Outer Banks. And then if you have any friends or contacts in the higher terrain, like up along the very top of at the top of the escarpment, or in the higher terrain of the Blue Ridge, notice these high winds along the higher elevations. That's going to linger all night tonight and into tomorrow morning before those winds subside. So very, very dynamic system, very fascinating system. The whole state is affected, obviously. This is the graphic I was showing again. So let me just one more time point out that this band right here is the one that's got the 30, 40, even gusts to 50 mile per hour. And you can see these values right here. Here's got values of 50, lower 50s, upper 40s, and 30 mile an hour wind gusts. And as we're all aware, and we've all heard, reports, there's been numerous, almost widespread tree damage and power outages, trees on homes, and as well the flooding issues. So again, until this band gets through your area, you're going to have a risk for some damaging wind gusts and flash flooding. Okay, so quick look at the radar. If you're wondering how much more rain can this band put out, we're talking maybe another inch or two of rain. So this band will be, in terms of the amount, we're not talking an enormous amount of rain with this band right here. We're talking maybe another inch of rain, maybe an inch and a half. Of course, this by itself, this area right here can put out its own inch of rain. So we're talking, maybe again another inch, 2 inches perhaps at most. But certainly if it all comes down real heavily, then that increases the flash flood risk. All right. So the last thing I will point out is the river situation, and just real quickly take you through the situation with the rivers. And bear with me here for just a second while I pull this up, and then I'll be happy to take your questions. All right, so here's the latest, and certainly just going, our hydro person here is coming over, and looks like you have something to add.
I can just give you a quick briefing
of the
rivers.
So Kathleen's going to Kathleen is our river specialist that's been on helping us with the rivers the last few days. Kathleen's going to give you a quick rundown on the river situation.
All right, so real quick, I'll just kind of outline what's going on now and kind of what we're expecting going forward. We've had quite a bit of rainfall in the headwaters along the Yadkin, the Haw, and then the upper Neuse and Tar basins, and then of course the Roanoke as well. So with that being said, we are expecting the Yadkin River at Yadkin College to go into flood, into major flood. And that is a update from this morning's forecast based on the rainfall that they had gotten through this afternoon. And then down on the Rocky River in Norwood, that's the PD basin. They've kind of taken that forecast down a notch or two, down into minor flood based on lesser amounts than what they had been forecasting originally. So those are the two biggest changes from this morning as far as the rivers go. We are still expecting the Haw River at Haw River and the Haw River at Bynum to both go into major flood. And they have started to increase there. Neither of them are currently in flood. We don't have any of our forecast points in flood at this point. A lot of the smaller creeks and streams, North Buffalo Creek, Crabtree Creek, and other smaller creeks and streams across that area have gone into flood. However, they are not forecast points, so it is, kind of a little bit more difficult for us to say exactly when they will go up and fall down below flood stage. Beyond that, we are expecting the Tar River at Lewisburg to go into moderate flood, and farther down the line over the weekend and early next week, we are expecting the Tar River at Tarboro to go into flood. Enfield is expected to crest just above flood stage, so we're kind of wait and see how that shakes out with the latest updates this evening once they put all the rainfall into the models. So that's kind of where we're at with the rivers. So I'll pass it back off to Nick.
All right, thank you, Kathleen. All right, so big thanks to Kathleen there for providing that river update. With that, I'll be happy to take any questions